Our story today entails a child, barely a stranger in the world, sharing their love for rescue dogs in a way so pure he amazed the internet. What started off as an unfortunate moment for Jackson quickly developed into a heartwarming one when he did something truly remarkable. Based in Charleston, South Carolina, is the Betchart family. Jackson, a 4-year-old little boy, lives with his mother in his cozy family home. His father is a Marine, and so is often away from home, leaving him and his mom at home, leading a pretty normal life. Mrs. Betchart doesn't work, but instead stays home to take care of her son. Though, just like every other 4-year-old, Jackson had more energy than most, and often enjoyed playing in his yard. His mom is an avid animal lover that often advocated for animal rights, and in turn assisted by fostering dogs until they found a forever home. This was something Mrs. Betchart started doing when they moved out of army housing and into normal suburbia. She wanted to share her love of animals with her young son, while also offering him some companionship to run around with outside. It was through these wise actions that led Jackson to do what he did on that fateful day. Jackson grew to love animals, especially energetic dogs, more and more the older he got. He searched for every moment he could get to interact with the animals he was surrounded with. As a minimum, his mother ensured that they fostered at least 3 dogs at a time. Currently, the family's fostering 4 beautiful dogs and 2 cats. Jackson's favorite is Geo, the dog, because of his calm, sweet nature. Jackson would spend hours each day outside in the yard playing with his doggy friends, returning inside daily covered in mud stains, just as a child should. His canine companions brought smiles to his face constantly. His mother was so proud of his relationship with the foster pups that she had only pushed to encourage the beautiful, flourishing relationship between them. It also helped to fill the slight void he felt with his father not being around constantly. There are definitely worse things that your 4-year-old could be obsessed with, that's for sure. While Mrs. Betchart had no limits on the type of dogs they fostered, she tried to ensure that all dogs were treated equally, especially with the stigma surrounding some breeds, one of which would be the Pit Bull Terrier. The Pit Bull Terrier is notoriously painted in a very negative way. They are well known as the preferred power breed for dog fighting, and are often bred in some violent, abusive relationships. The nature of their personalities is also a strong one that needs a lot of love, which people fail to give every so often. Perhaps it's their hard-looking demeanor, short hair, and muscular physique. This would naturally be considered more challenging than that of a fluffy golden retriever or border collie. What people fail to know is that in reality, these dogs have once been used as nursery dogs, thanks to their sweet, nurturing nature in addition to their intense protective instincts. Unfortunately, many people get excited about the hype or aesthetic of having a power breed like a pit bull until they get bigger or start acting out a little. This is how they wind up often in large numbers in rescue centers. They are often the first type of dog surrendered and are not very easy to find homes for thanks to the negative stigma surrounding them. It's so severe that in some countries or living spaces, these dogs are completely banned. But children don't see it this way. Children are graced with the ability to see past societal prejudices and offer unconditional love where others may not feel it's valid. This is the innocence shown in Jackson's reaction, for he had only one sneaky little secret. He loved pit bulls. They were his favorite breed of dog. Only he wasn't allowed one for good reason. Like most children, Jackson was given a weekly allowance for chores done around the home. This was his parents' way of ensuring that he learned from a young age how to clean up after himself. After receiving his small allowance every week, his mother would encourage him to save at least half of it to help him get into good financial habits. This allowed Jackson to learn more about responsibility and accountability. Quite an achievement for a little boy his age, that's for sure. So you may find yourself asking what it is that a 4-year-old could do that would be so astonishing. You'll be pleasantly surprised to know it's something that not many adults even do. As is the nature of fostering and loving animals, Mrs. Betchard was often traveling around the state as well as her local area to different animal rescue shelters. She did this to volunteer and provide support where she could to the animals she couldn't bring home. This also helped her stay active and relevant in the rescue animal community. And of course, right by her side was her faithful companion and sidekick, little Jackson. He loved visiting the shelters. He liked to call them cute factories because of the cuteness they offered him with all the sweet animals. How sweet's that? It allowed him to meet new animals and make new friends. The staff of the animal shelters knew him well. They had known him since he was a little baby. They were always fascinated at how Jackson could make friends with any rescue animal, even the most timid or afraid. One fateful day, Jackson set off on a mission with his mother in the car. They were going to visit some animal shelters they frequented to check in on some of the animals. It was Jackson's main goal to ensure that all the animals waiting for homes were well loved and taken care of. His conscientious little heart made sure of that. It was on this day that Jackson's mother decided to pop into a shelter they had yet to visit, the Charleston Animal Society. Jackson was over the moon because he had never been there before, so that meant new buddies. Little did he know what was awaiting him inside. Entering the shelter, Jackson's excitement was palpable. He was barely containable and wanted to rush off to meet all the animals. His mother, however, made him introduce himself to all the staff and politely make his way to the caged area where the dogs resided. It was here that Jackson made a discovery that lit up his face like a Christmas tree. Sitting in the corner, Jackson came across a black and white pit bull named Penelope. He, however, did not agree with her name and decided Spot was more appropriate because of the black spot on her head. He was obsessed. Jumping up and down with joy, he began to bond with sweet Penelope, Spot, through the fencing. The staff's faces simply lit up as they were overjoyed that Penelope, Spot, was happy again. She had been surrendered by a family with young children who saw her as a threat, so small children were her favorite. Jackson immediately turned to his mother and begged her to adopt the sweet pit bull. Sadly, his mother had to decline his exciting request. Her reasoning was sound, however sad it made Jackson. If they were to move back into army housing, they would not be allowed to have a pit bull at all, so she was just trying to prevent the inevitable. When the time came to say goodbye to Penelope, Spot, Jackson broke down into an emotional sob. He truly didn't want to leave her behind as they were. As they made their way back down the hall, Jackson suddenly stopped and sat down. When his mother turned around, she found that he had found yet another sweet pit bull named Tank. This big gray boy simply wagged his tail with joy when Jackson started talking to him. And so the questions started again. Jackson was almost inconsolable when his mother repeated to him no. He was so upset, the shelter staff came to check up on him. It was then an act of true kindness occurred. When the staff saw how devastated Jackson was about not being able to take Penelope, Spot, and Tank home, their hearts sank into their stomachs. This was a poor child who only wanted to give his love to the poor animals. However, they also understood where the mother was coming from. That's when they mentioned to Jackson's mother that they had a guardian sponsorship program that they could take part in. They could pay for the pups to be adopted, thus making it easier for other people to adopt the dogs. Before Jackson's mom could even think about it, Jackson shouted out in agreement that he would sponsor the dogs with his allowance savings. What a remarkably kind gesture that was felt by all around him. The staff could barely console themselves. So, in turn, Jackson's story went viral. This only helped to educate people even more on what they can do to help rescue animals, even if they can't physically take care of them. This incredible story just goes to show how wonderful young children can be. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments below.